I got you on this one, Coach. It ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. But we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to beat. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what I see. I love the fans like they part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Come rock with me. We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the fanatic, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the southeast from state to state? What team hungry gon' eat everything up off they plate? Who the next one that's really gon' step up and be great? Yeah, the FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what I see. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah, part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah, part of my team. I love the fans like they part of my team. Yeah.
Welcome into the Fanatic Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fans. It's your boy Coach I. What's going on, man? We in here for another episode of Inside the Locker Room with the Dawgs, presented by the Tailgate Kings. All right, party people, man, we ain't going to waste y'all time, man. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to go ahead and start bringing the folk on in. I see some dogs already in the chat, like they ready to get it on, so let's go ahead and get it jumping, man. First up the bat, y'all know who it is. It's our energy guy, man. If he ain't got the energy, we ain't got the energy. We talking about former DB, Erik Robinson. We talking about E-Rob. What's going on, E-Rob?
Coach, what's up, baby?
Another
week, another Dawgs victory. Come on, man, stop shaking your head.
Hey, survive in advance, baby.
Survive in advance. You know what it is. Really, my biggest issue was the liquor store in my neighborhood, man. So as I'm watching the game, I'm getting thoroughly. I felt like everybody else felt. I'm pouring and I'm pouring and I'm pouring. I'm drinking. I'm like, this shit ain't even working. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on at the liquor store, what they putting in this, because it ain't even work. You know what I'm saying? I got all to the end of the game, but I'm still sober. That's when I started, man. That's the kind of anxiety I was going through, man, with the Dawgs on Saturday. Man, I'm glad we did win. We did show some things that I was happy to see, some gumption. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So find a way to just get it done. So I'm gonna hold on to the positive, but I'm definitely gonna talk about the negative today. On to the next.
On to the next, man. Let's bring in the coolest fan in the land. We're talking about my man, Cool Cal. What's going on, Cal?
What up, Dog Land? What's happening, E-Rob?
Man, my liquor wasn't working. That's what's happening.
That's what was happening. Hey, man, you gotta find a new liquor store, dog. Hey, we got some things to fix and we got some things to clean up, man. But at the end of the day, I know we're gonna talk about it. But at the end of the day, we still got the W. I'd rather have that W and have things to clean up and fix than versus having the L and being like we got to go back to the drawing board. So I'm excited to talk this week, man. We're about to get into this SEC schedule, man. So I'm excited, man. Let's get into it.
That's right, man. And we always want to recognize E-Rod played baseball, but man, the next man up is our two-sport athlete. You know, like former wide receiver, Shouty Parker. What's going on, Shouty?
Fellas, what's happening? I'm gonna be
what up with you, Shouty?
Good, man. I'm gonna be very brief, man. I see these folks going ham in the comments. Shout out to Horace Dent from the high. All I'm gonna say is we count the W's and the L's. Let's get it.
That's right, man.
That's it.
Hey, listen, man. Next up is the man with the plan, the guy that got it started. One of the guys that got it started in this long line of great tight ends, man. We talking about Jevaris Johnson. What's going on, JV?
Man, what's going on, fellas? I mean, hey, listen, I think you guys did a great job last week. Let me just commend y'all, man, on holding it down. But what we didn't do, we didn't hold it down that well on the field. So I'm excited to talk about this stuff today, man, because I got a lot to say.
That's right, man. That's right. Hey, listen, man, it's so serious, man. Normally, y'all know we don't bring in our special guest till after the start bench cut, but it's serious. We got to get into this thing. We got to get focused. So we're going to go ahead and bring our special guest in. We're talking about former offensive lineman for the Dawgs. We're talking about a Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler. We're talking about 7 to 8 years with the New Orleans Saints. We're talking about one of the best linemen to ever do it in between the hedges. We're talking about John Stinchcomb. What's going on, John?
What's up, fellas? Coach I.
Yeah.
Be my hype man.
What's up, man?
That's what I'm saying. Coach bring you out now. Coach will bring you out.
I feel good about myself. Good start.
Good. What's up, John, man? Glad to have you.
Yeah, glad to be talking about the Dawgs coming off a win rather than what we saw for the first 3.5 quarters of Saturday's football game. So I'm glad they were able to pull it out. But as y'all have said already, there's plenty to discuss of what went wrong and what went right and what they need to get right before next week.
I have some questions for you, John. I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Listen, man, the Dawgs in the chat ain't playing no games, man. Man, shout out to Maurice Dickinson, man. He was in the chat at 7:33 and the show don't start at 8. He wanted to talk about it so much he was in the chat. Shout out to Maurice. Shelby. Listen, yeah, shout out to Shelby. She say, let's get into it, man. We got
Shelby, what's up, girl?
Yep, and then we got, like Stan said, we got Horace Dents, man. We gonna get into it. We're gonna shout you out first. My guy AP, he always up in the building, man. Trevor's in the building. What's going on, man? Hey, man, these people ready to talk about this thing, man. Stat guy showing love for the Dawgs. You know, local Gamecock in the house. That's right. Hey, might as well find a bandwagon to hit your train too. So come on in the building, man. Hey. All right, man. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this start bench cut, man, so we can move on past it. Y'all seen it, man. We talking SEC wide receivers, talking about some of the greats to ever do it. Shout out to Cool Cal for this start bench cut. I did have to make one slight change, but this is Cool Cal's idea right here. We got A.J. Green, Julio Jones, and Percy Harvin. We talking only college. They all three of them only played 3 years. That's all we talking about is college. So we're going to start with the guest of honor today, man. We're going to start with John, put him on the hot seat, man. So, John, who you starting, who you benching, who you cutting, man?
Well, I appreciate the privilege to go first so y'all can just butcher and analyze everything I have to say from the jump.
And you know this.
Yeah, absolutely. I see what's happened here. Let's put a straw man up for everybody to burn down. I'm going to start with Percy Harvin. You talk about a guy that was versatile, not only a wide receiver, played running back, played some quarterback for them. In today's game, what that would mean for an offense, I think you could do so much with it. Now, if you start him, that means on my bench, I'm bringing, what show are we on? They're the same guy. A.J. Green and Julio Jones, to me, bring the same thing to the table. So I, being a loyal Dog fan, know what's up. Who you go with the smartest player? Who chose Georgia, right?
Damn.
I like it.
And with Percy, hey, he may start, but we can rotate him through. I'll have both of them on the field at some point or another, and that means Julio, you didn't make the cut this round.
There it is. JV, you up the bat, man. Who you starting, who you benching, and who you cutting, dog?
So I'm just going to say, man, John, you couldn't have put a better order together because I'm going to follow you tongue-in-cheek all the way down to the start, from the start all the way down to the cut, man. I'm looking at Percy Harvin. I thought he was one of the most dynamic players that you ever seen come through the SEC. The man had 3,700 yards in 3 years from the line of scrimmage, okay? I'm talking about 30, if I'm not mistaken, 32 touchdowns. 32 touchdowns, sir. Mm-hmm. So I got to start somebody who was that dynamic, who found the end zone that many times, and who had that many yards from scrimmage, whether it was receiving or receiving or rushing. I look at the stats, and I have a large pause here because coming out of college, it was the conversation, man. Who would you take? These guys went in the same draft. Me personally, I was always an A.J. Green guy, simply because, number one, he always was on the field. Number two, I loved his body control.
No,
I put some more.
froze
I
up.
gotta put some more quarters
Put
in.
some more quarters in that thing, man.
Come on,
And
Jay.
pull
All right,
that
cool,
level
Cal.
down. Put some cords and pull that level down.
Cool, Cal, you up the bat, man. He set you up. You up the bat.
Hey, man, right. Hopefully I don't freeze up. But listen, man, this is all great, and I want to say shout out to Coach, man. I don't know how the hell I forgot about Percy Hart. You know what I'm saying? Because on my first initial list, I had those first two guys, and then also had Amari Cooper, and I was racking my brain. But listen, I'm with the other two guys, man. Percy Hart is number one. He was just dynamic from the backfield, sweeps. He could catch the ball short, take it to the house. He was good with the long ball. He just did so much for Florida. I mean, he's an iconic player. I can't believe I forgot, but he's definitely number one. Dog Nation, y'all gonna hate me on this.
Don't do it.
Y'all gonna hate me.
Don't do it.
Listen. I'm an AJ Green guy.
Like
I wish AJ Green would have winded up here in Atlanta as a Falcon, but we took Julio that year. I wish he would have wound up as a Falcon. This is the knock that I have with AJ. It's not really his issue. It was more of an NCAA thing. He had a suspension. He got suspended for some games. I have to take away from that. That's not really something that was his problem, but it became his problem. And so for that reason, I got to go ahead on the bench, and I got to go with Julio on the bench for that. And AJ, I got to cut him. I'm sorry, Dog Nation. Y'all cut me off the show. I don't want hate mail. Shelby, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I apologize, Shelby. But I got to cut my man.
All right, Shorty, man. How you gonna follow that up? Who you starting, benching, and cutting, dog?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, Cole, this probably has been one of the toughest ones. This was a pretty good one. But we're talking about playing the wide receiver position. So my guy that I'm going to start, as JV said earlier, when you're talking about body control, 50-50 balls, running routes, getting out in and out of breaks at 6'3", maybe 215 pounds. I mean, come on, the Bulldog, he the man. He got it. Don't nobody else on this list has that kind of body control. And the ball is in the air, 50-50 ball. This man coming down with it. Thanks. So I'm gonna have to start our guy. On the bench, I'm gonna go with the utility knife. I mean, when you're talking about, you're not talking about playing the position at its purest, but you're just talking about a playmaker right now. Running back, slot, receiver, kick returns. That's not receiver at its purest. That's just a football player. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I'm gonna put him on the bench, and then I'm gonna cut Julio.
All right, there it is, man. E-Rob, what you got, dog?
Too.
What you got?
Thad made some great points, and me and Thad are on the same page. For me, the person I'm gonna start is AJ Green. AJ Green, again, that body control and just what he was able to do on the football field. I mean, it kid's second to none. On the bench, I'm going with same thing Shorty said. I'm going with the dude that can do it all. Percy Harvin, he's able to. I mean, you guys said it all. That dude was dynamic. He can run it. He can catch it. He can, whatever, run back kicks, whatever you need him to do, he can do it and make big plays. Lastly, I'm gonna cut Julio Jones. I think, and Julio Jones was awesome in college. We all know that. And one thing he did do, he started off this whole lineage of wide receiver, big time wide receivers going to Alabama and showing out. So he was the first, and a whole heck of a lot of them came after. But his ass was he cut.
Bet. There it is, man. Hey, man, I'm going to echo the sentiments of the last two, man. Of course, y'all know I'm going with the hometown hero, AJ Green, man. Like, I honestly, in college, I had to think back. If you talking about who I'm taking on my team one season or when I need a kit, like, AJ Green, like, man, you got to go back to, like, the what's his name? Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald's, and you got to go hard if you're going to beat AJ Green on my list, man. And I'm like that, man. After I got the true wide receiver, then I'm going to need the utility knife who I can line up anywhere, and that's going to be Percy Harvin. And unfortunately, Julio had a good college career. He was one of the best to do it, but in this list, man, he got to get that axe. So AP said he
similar to AJ.
Yeah. And if I got to choose between them two, I'm going AJ. AP said he going to start Percy, AJ on the bench, and cut Jones. Let's see. Carlos say he's starting Percy. He benching Julio and he cutting AJ. Get
later.
out of here, Carlo.
Hey, Carlo, it'll be me and you, Carlo. Right, me and Carlo gonna be in the parking lot together, man.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. So, hey, man, without further ado, man, let's talk about what went wrong. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, listen, I know I had to throw a little lettuce in the gerbil cage, man. They spinning the wheel on there, so I'm back on and strong. But I heard what Cal said, man, about AJ missing those games. So let me just jump right back in real quick because I was getting ready to go here. This man missed a quarter of his season and still was only behind Julio by like 40 yards total and scored 20 some odd touchdowns in his career. So you got to look at that. If I'm looking at head to head, my guy lined it up.
Hey, what you got to say about that, Cool Cal?
Hey, JB did his homework on this one now. JB
right. That's why his screen froze
Them
up.
call receipts. Them call receipts. We all got it, baby. It's handheld these days.
Oh, God. Carlos said it's not a question about loyalty. I don't know, dog.
Mine
You
either.
don't know. You and Cool Cal, man. We're going to have to put y'all on the show by yourself, man.
We dogs, man. All the way.
Yeah,
all right, man. Now that everybody got the quarters in the machine and the Hamptons fed, man, let's go ahead and get on to it, man. Let's talk about what went wrong with the Dogs, man. Hey, you know what? I gotta give my thoughts. Listen, I'm gonna let Cool Cal start with this one, man. Cool Cal, go ahead and start with this one, and we're gonna follow it up, man. Because we got to get into it.
Okay. I think what went wrong was and I think it's a good thing. First off, I think it's the expectation. I think we have an expectation of how we want to look each and every Saturday. We want to look dominant. We want to go out there and win 49-7 because we've seen it before. And when we don't do that, we're left feeling a little bit disappointed. And I think that's good because we've gotten to that level. I had a buddy of mine, he texted me the other day. He said, in a lot of years, we would have lost that game. But we came out on top. We still found a way to win. And sometimes it's not always pretty. We got to put it in perspective. It's still an SEC road win. And I know a lot of us are feeling disappointed because we didn't go up there and we look at the point spread. Oh, we didn't cover. We weren't dominant. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. But we still came out on top and we won the game versus there's other years where we played poorly. We've been the top dog and we still found a way to lose that game. So I looked at it in a different light when he said that. I was like, you're right. There are a lot of years where we would have lost that game, but we still won. We still got everything in front of us, which is obviously winning the SEC East, getting to the SEC championship game, and trying to get back to the playoffs and win a national championship. So I think it provides a good opportunity, first off, for us to come out here. The coaching staff can hone in. We got some things that we need to work on. One of the big things, and I know John can attest to this, is that our offensive line doesn't seem as dominant as I thought it was early in the season. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of a dominating offensive line. And so I think that's something that needs a lot of work. I don't know if there's some coaching things.
You got John on here.
I know. I'm going to lead John into it. I know he's seeing a lot of the same things. So that's one area where I think that, we really got to hone in and get better. And another thing, when I was looking at the game from Saturday, and obviously I'm going to pass it on, it felt like, I don't know if we became predictable, but I felt like Missouri knew everything we were doing. It seemed like all the plays were being blown up, and I felt like they were on top of every single thing that we were doing. So I don't know if we become a little bit too predictable, and we need to open some things up some more, or, but that was my take on what I saw Saturday.
Okay, yeah, I agree with a lot of that, man. And the expectation thing, I didn't really think about that. Me and Thad hopped on the live, man. He come support your boy on Saturdays, man, and we talked a little bit about it. And I ain't really think about expectations because, Hey, the standard is the standard. That's what Kirby said. So that's what we supposed to expect. So I need to see that on Saturdays too. I've been throwing John. You up next, man? I've been throwing you a little niggas. Like I think it was the offensive line too. Is a big part of the problem. We had a lot of problems, but Shelby say the offensive line had no push for 3 quarters, and then Trevor say we missing Matt Luke a little bit, man. I'm gonna let you have the flow, but then I got some follow up questions if you don't touch the offensive line.
Oh, absolutely. I think offensive line is, I think we proved it on Saturday, that whether the expectations were too high for them coming in, they're not an elite group right now. So you look at the strength of our team in years past, and we keep pumping the NFL with, first round talent. That's not this group right now. Now they might develop along and become a dominant group. Probably not this year. But you watch the way they played Georgia as a team against Kent State and what they did against Missouri, and you put yourself behind the 8 ball when you turn the ball over the way Georgia did early in the game. How does an inferior team beat a superior team? You create those turnovers early. And that's what Georgia did. It wasn't anything that Missouri was doing early on, but you turn the ball over and then you miss some tackles, which is something that we've never seen from a Georgia defense in the past, 3 or 4 years, the way they putting those things together. So turn the ball over, missing tackles, and not having superior offensive line play, that's a good recipe for an inferior team to have a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Now, to what Cool Cal said, unlike years past, they didn't get flustered. There were times where, we've been on those teams, or you watch another team say, I'm in this situation and it's just the world against me and it's just not our day. Georgia didn't do that. They fought that entire game, and by that fourth quarter, Missouri didn't have near as much in the tank as Georgia did. So all those plays that defensive line was out physical. They were busting our tails up and down the field for the first 3 quarters. I mean, across the line, Xavier Truss, Cedric Von Granger, Tate Ratledge, really all 3 tackles, they all had their moments where you're looking at it and you're going, Missouri whooped you. There no 2 ways about it. But by that fourth quarter, why are those gashes in that defense being created? I think it was a matter of the fact that Georgia still had something left in the tank, and Georgia and Missouri had already shot their load. They had nothing left, and Georgia's still going after it. So that's how you come back in a hostile territory. You give them the momentum. You're not playing your best ball, but yet they didn't get flustered. They continued to play into that game and came out with a win, which is what champions do. They don't play always their best ball. They find ways to win.
Yeah. Would you say, where would you kind of attribute the offensive line struggles to? Like, I mean, see, Trevor said it was we missed Matt Luke. I think Matt Luke was an excellent offensive line coach. He was a great follow for Sam Pittman. Stacey Searles is his second stint in Athens, so obviously he knows what he's doing. He's been in the business a long time. But how can that affect? These are like a lot of the same guys we had last year, other than our 2 offensive guards. But how can that affect the offensive line, John?
Yeah, so I went back like a total football nerd and watched the end zone copy of that offense to see what really happened, right? So I'm watching our tackles. Our tackles have been playing this game for a while, especially McClendon. Roderick Jones comes into the national championship game and plays at a high level. And then I see on Saturday, there's times they're in good position. It wasn't like a technique thing, but they're getting pushed around. So to me, that's either a focus issue or you didn't come expecting to have to give your 100%, because Broderick Jones and Warren McClendon's 100% beats a lot of folks. Almost everybody they're going to face. Few. Will Anderson would be one of those exceptions. They didn't bring that. So they're in position, but yet you get whipped still. To me, that was just either a focus issue or I haven't brought my 100% out onto the field. Interiorly, I think we got issues. I mean, I just don't. I don't think Xavier Truss is that guy. I agree. And Cedric Von Granger, when he's matched up one-on-one, he's a big physical dude. You put him on a linebacker, you get him in space. When linebackers were bringing, those A-gap blitzes, two linebackers are running and crossing in the middle. he missed a few of those, and that's not been an exception to the rule. It's kind of been the rule this year. So between those two guys, here's the good news: they can get better at that.
Yep.
I think they both are talented enough players that, you know, with technique, as you move along, they can get better. They're just not there yet. So the expectation was we're gonna continue to be great. I still think our offense has a much higher ceiling this year than what we've had in years past.
Okay.
But they're going to have to continue to get better, and it starts up front. They played like crap on Saturday, and it showed.
Yeah. Hey, Shawty, so, you can continue to pile on the O-line, but there's enough blame to go around in this game. And we had a couple people, you know, Shelby being one of us, say we had a lot of drop passes. I mean, I think we feeling the effects. I know we got good receivers, but the one elite receiver, like A.D. Mitchell, it looked like we missing him. How you feeling about, passing some of this blame around, man?
Well, I agree. We missing A.D. Mitchell's explosion. I mean, you can see it. We were having a hard time separating. If it wasn't for, you know, the scheme of the offense and they weren't wide open, we was having a hard time separating. And also, you know, I hate to go back to the offensive line, but, you know, Stetson he didn't have that nice, calm pocket that he's used to having in these first 3 games. So some of the throws were maybe rushed a little bit more. The timing was off. And you can tell we were without our number one receiver. And also, I'm going to be honest with you, where was Darnell Washington? We need to use this guy more in the offense. I know they may be shading towards Bowles a little bit, putting coverage towards him, but we generally are in 12 personnel. So how about we use Bowles a little bit more? And one of the other things I really didn't like about what I saw on offense was we just came out throwing the ball. We never really tried to establish the run in the first half. Even though we was not good at it, you still got to try to establish the run, which is something that I think we did in the second half, which helped our offense get in a rhythm. But from an offensive firepower standpoint, we have got to get this running game going.
That's right. I'm definitely on board with that. I'm on board with all you said. And speaking of the wide receivers too, not just that we couldn't get no separation. I think somebody put it, Malik Savage, man. He said, Lad McConkey, bro, what's going on with him, man? Like, we've become used to Lad being that, you know, that guy, that go-to dude, and we kind of just, I think it's second nature. We like, oh, we throwing it at that. Lad, he gonna catch that thing, you know what I'm saying? But he's dropping balls.
They about the same side. They about the same side.
But what's going on? Like, E-Rod, what you think, man? What is he having trouble with his girlfriend? What's going on there? I'm just saying, man. It's like 3 weeks in a row, dog.
I was late getting to the show last week because I had just came back from Athens, got him the 2022 them Stinchcomb gloves. He must not have took them to Missouri. I don't know. They might not be legal anymore. I don't know, but he got to figure it out. He got to get he has to figure it out. And the one thing I'm gonna say, I'm super confident that he will. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm not really worried about it like that. But for me, you guys hit on it 100%. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. For me, there are 3 trends that I saw in the last 2 games. And I don't like seeing trends. And, you know, you can be off one game, but these are trends. I don't like how we were not getting movement in the run game offensively. This is killing me. When we get in the red zone, because we're moving the ball up and down the field. When we get in the red zone, we cannot score touchdowns. That's a problem. And that's a trend. And we got to figure that out. And I think a big part of it is we can't consistently run the ball. When you get down in the red zone, things tighten up a little bit. You need to be able to move people and run the ball a little bit. And that's kind of been non-existent. And so we got to figure that out. And then defensively, we got to stop giving up these big runs. The big runs, the big gashes, the big cutback, that has to stop. Our fits have to get better. Make people grind. We can't give up these 60, 70-yard runs. That is not Georgia football, and that is not how we're going to get to where we're trying to go here in the future.
And E-Rod led us right into it, JV. I mean, like, their defense can get some of this blame too now. I mean, they did score 22 points, you know, and that wasn't all on the offense. Malik say what's going on. He needed Kamari Lassiter and Keely Ringo both to play better. I mean, Kamari, like just sheer numbers wise, he gets picked on a lot more than Ringo. Ringo kind of chilling out there, and we was talking about this kind of pre-show, man. You think Ringo not getting enough work out there got him not as sharp as he should be?
You know what? It was a couple of plays, especially that one deep pass that they caught on Ringo, where I really felt like his effort was lacking. He didn't seem like he was tracking the ball well. He didn't seem like he was trying to stay in phase with the receiver. And consequently, the receiver caught the ball and high pointed it. And I really didn't even see him give any effort to try to defend that particular ball. At least he made the tackle. You know what? Listen, I'll say this. We don't have Jordan Davis on this D line, guys. When you have Bush, kind of a Bush league block that takes our best D tackle out, I'm seeing these offensive linemen on the opposite side of the ball get up to our linebackers with ease. That's what I'm seeing, and that wasn't the case last year. They could not do that. That's why you saw a ton of behind the line of scrimmage tackles. That's why you saw anemic run games from the opposite offense. And that's why you saw our defense ball out like they did before, because they could not get to the second line of defense. Those linebackers were able to roam. Huh?
Space eaters.
They were very much space eaters. So that's what I'm seeing on the defense. I think our linebackers are still playing hellacious ball. They are just having to get through a lot more traffic than the linebackers from last year did. These guys on the D line, and we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago, these guys on the D line, they got to figure out how to make some damn plays. They got to win one-on-one matchups. And you cannot sit there and get pushed off the ball 2 and 3 and 4, 5 yards when you're one-on-one with another guy. You got to split some double teams. I didn't get a chance to throw an opinion in on the offense. I thought y'all 100% touched on everything that I was going to talk about. But one thing you didn't is I cannot figure out for the life of me why we look shocked that a team would just blitz us to death off the edges and try to make it hard for Bennett to complete passes because he's only 5'10".
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They send a lot of pressure from the outside.
And
they
got
send a lot of pressure from the outside. Yeah.
You feed into that. You don't try to establish the run, B. You come out. That's true. You throw the ball on first and second down pretty much every opening series.
True. You can still throw the ball, though, is my point. We didn't even have a game plan for that. We didn't get into the short game, the quick screen game, off of their blitzes until the second half. We were still trying to run 10-yard ends and 15-yard comebacks. You can't do that against what they blitz. So I think that 100% we didn't have a good game plan, and we looked like we expected them to kind of cower to us a little bit. And they came out and they were ready to rock and roll. Now they just ran out of gas, like what Stinch said. They didn't have it in the end of the third and the fourth quarter. We just kind of just drug them down because their defense stayed on the field. We still had 35 minutes in time of possession, guys.
We made some good adjustments at halftime.
You know what I'm saying?
We did, and I think in the second half, not to cut you, sorry to cut you off.
No, you good. I was done.
I think in the second half, man, they came out with a different mentality to say I felt like the players showed that they believe we just better than y'all. It's like I feel like Dejon Edwards, Kenny McIntosh almost was like in the huddle, hey man, just give me the ball and get out the damn way, and I'll make it happen.
Coaches switched the run scheme.
Yeah, they did. They did that too. And then we got the ball in the second half a little bit to Darnell. He's catching the ball, trucking people when he ain't even trying to truck people. And I just think, like John said, man, it just showed that we had more in the gas tank than they did, man. So I mean, hopefully that second half is what carries us into this week with the Deep South's oldest rivalry, man. Because we got to talk about that too. I mean, Auburn ain't looked like they've been the best team, but neither had Missouri. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then they gave us almost 4 quarters. Right. So talking about the UGA offense versus Auburn, Stentz, man, what you need to see this week for us to be successful?
Number one, don't turn the ball over early, right? I mean, you look at the last 2 weeks, and we gave life to teams that I think they quit. I think they'll quit if you lay it on them early. And instead, what you do is you inspire them to play like, hey, we can hang with these guys. We've all been on teams where you're superior than the opponent. They don't know that until you prove it to them. So if you go out there and give them like hope, like, hey, I belong out here, they're going to play good ball. They're going to play their best. You go out there and you put your shoe on their throat, and they think, well, man, I don't belong out here. Yeah. So that's what you have to do. You have to take it over early. Now, offensively, I think one of Stetson's best qualities is he can run. So move the pocket a little bit. If we don't have the offensive line that we thought we might have coming into this year, we do have a quarterback that can move pretty well. And we also have the best tight end room in the country. So getting that JV, I see it. You belong with them, brother.
Don't tell him that, John.
Please don't tell him that.
What's your Zale? What's your Zale?
Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington. Who wants to match up with those dudes? No one. There's no linebacker, no safety in the country that's like, sign me up for that. So let's get the pocket moving a little bit. Let Stetson try to create in space. Our wide receivers, we haven't found that go-to guy that replaces A.D. Mitchell while he's out. So until he gets healthy, is it Rosemy? Is it, I don't know, Ladd McConkey doesn't seem to be able to hold on to the ball these past couple of weeks. The one thing that you could count on him to do is just be a reliable hands guy. You throw him the ball and it's going to stick to him, right? I think that's the anomaly. I think he gets back to playing the tight ball that he does. But I'd like to see, one, no turnovers early. Don't give hope to a team that should have none. And then let's move the pocket a little bit, get the tight ends involved, and let Auburn know they don't really belong on the same field as this team.
Yeah, I think like you just said, and Shawty alluded to, man, listen, Brock Bowers is the guy. He's the best tight end in the nation, and we need to get him the ball. But we also got to use that big 6'7", 6'8", whatever he listed at. We got to get that guy the ball because these guys are falling off of him, and he ain't even doing nothing. They just trying to tackle him, and he bouncing, and they bouncing off. So, and
that's what happens when you're a big man.
And you're right. They definitely need to move the pocket if people going to blitz from the outside or our line can't hold up because, I mean, not to be back on the offensive line, but I ain't never seen Warren McClendon play that bad. I mean, he was getting beat by the quick rush real bad, man. So, yeah, he was. We got another dog in the house. Brandon Miller, say what's up, fellas. All right, what's going on, B? And then Trevor say, let's give Dejan some more carries. I'm going to tell you, when it comes to being when you're talking about being a pure running back, this dude is definitely the best pure running back that we have on the squad. Yeah. And so we need to make sure we getting the guys, those guys in the right plays, man. So, JV, man, what we doing on offense, man? And you, in addition to anything John said, man, what you need to see Saturday, man, we got to get it together, dog.
Well, number one, man, listen, Auburn, they've been slow for a long time. I mean, literally, I just call them slobber. And I really don't like a whole lot about them, from the colors to, the name to the dual mascots that they have. So I don't say too many great things about these guys at all. But what they do bring to the table, let me tell you, what they do bring to the table, man, every single year is an adequate defense, a defensive line that'll get after your tail. And so we're going to have to make sure that, like John had mentioned, we show up. We show up ready to play in pregame. Matter of fact, when we get off the bus, when we talked about them coming off the bus with their suits on, with their boots tied up, they need to get off the bus with their boots tied up because these guys can grab life from that defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball, I think we're going to be fine there. This is going to be one of our first challenges when it comes to the SEC, where I feel like the offense not will give us a lot of trouble, but they can potentially provide some issues with us or to us based off of their quarterback. They have some athletes back there. That defense, though, we have to show up. And it starts with that line. I want that line to come out there. And, guys, let's not forget, we still 3 deep at tight end. This young guy, Delk, he is a player.
He is.
He is a player. We need to get these guys involved early so that then we can take some of the pressure. Because I think Ladd is just kind of feeling some self-imposed pressure. Yeah. So let's take the pressure off this guy. Let's get it to these tight ends. Even if they're doubling one, let's get it to another one. Throw it to the backs at the backfield. Let's run our little mailman like we had talked about before. And let's go ahead and establish ourselves early, fast, and in a hurry.
So JV talked about getting a fast start. Cool Cow, that hadn't been the case here lately, man. How you think we handle that on Saturday? How we come out and get a fast start?
Hey, we've got an 8-year senior quarterback. Listen, Stats has been in the program a long time. That's the guy that I'm looking at. Yeah.
That's been there for a minute, man. They done built up the whole West Campus while he was there.
That's been there since '97, man. That's all right, man. But seriously, guys, I think that's where it starts. He's our quarterback. I think when we look at any other team in America and you're looking to see where the team starts and finishes, you look at the quarterback. And I think this is Stetson's team. He's been the starter. It's been unquestioned this year. So I think if we're going to get off to a faster start, it has to start with him. He has to come out and play better. He has to come out, take command of the game from the beginning. Like, let's get back to the point to where we're coming out on that first drive where we're getting the touchdown, where we're setting that statement, setting that tone early on instead of going 3 and out, or we're kicking field goals. But the one thing that I want to also say, even before the start, one thing I do want to take from last game is, and I know this has been E's guy all year, and we love to see him play, is Malachi Starks. One of the things that I love is, and it may be a forgotten play, but when he ran that guy down, he got him at the 1 yard line. We got a field goal.
They ended up kicking a field goal. Yep.
That's a big time play from a freshman. That's a huge play. To me, that's where the game changed. Is just having that effort to say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. We got him on the 1 foot line, whatever it was, gave up the field goal, and we look back, how many points did we win the game by? 4 points. That's where it could have came to where it could have been a different game. So I want to give that kid a lot of kudos. I think that that's something that can permeate through the team to say, no matter where we're at, we're not going to give up, and we can go on and we'll fight, man. We can finish the game out. So
that's right, man. Hey, listen, I just one side note. Listen, for those that's watching that's not in the comments, we all love Stet. We give Stet a hard time about being a long time dog. We need that. We actually need that dog in here. And as savage as she always is, Shelby say we can't count on Bo Nix to throw us a ball a couple times this year because he's no longer with the War Eagles. True. You know what I'm saying? Also, Kirby Towns is in the house, man. What's going on, Kirby, man? So, hey, man, we're going to move on to the defensive side of the ball. We got to talk about what our defense got to do to get back to how we looked against Oregon, how we looked against South Carolina. Speaking of Malik Starks, man, like that was a great play. Like in the Kent State game, I saw he got worked a little bit as a freshman. They didn't really pick on him this past game, but how we looking on that defense, E-Rob? We need them corners. They ain't look like what we need them to look like. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we talked about this a little bit before the show, and for me, I think the biggest issue for our defense is run fits. Up front with the coordination between the defensive line and the linebackers, the run fits, and I think JV brought up a good point. Those offensive linemen are getting up on the second level a little bit too easy and too fast, and it's causing some issues. So we got to get that figured out. Now, the biggest issue for me is eye discipline. I'm seeing last year. That's what I watched when I watched the games over and over again. I watched on defense where our eyes are. If we're in man to man, are you looking at the man or are you looking in the backfield? Now, if you're looking in the backfield, you're a half a step behind. That's all it takes in this league, a half a step. So that's what we were half a step ahead last year because we always kept our eyes in the right place. So I know that the coaches are preaching this. I know that they are. But sometimes you got to go out there in life and just let life kick you in the butt a little bit before you'll start listening. And I think that these last couple of games we struggled and some balls have gone over our head. I think these guys are going to start listening to what the coaches are telling them and get their eyes in the right place. Get your eyes in the right place and just do your job. And if you do that, we're good enough. We have enough good players to overwhelm people. But as soon as one person is looking in the wrong place, that's when the hole opens up, and that's when you got dudes sprinting down the field for 60-yard runs. So
that's right. Now, B. Miller say, who's the vocal leader of the defense? In the past, man, like I think we kind of said this in the preseason, though. I said, we had Roquan, then we went from Roquan to Money Rice, went from Money Rice to N'Kobe, and these guys was young. Now I know Nolan's there. Chris Smith is there. But who's the actual leader of the defense? I mean, I think that's a question to be had. Don't you think?
Real quick, Coach, I saw number 10, our middle linebacker, since you bring it up middle linebackers, getting on Kamari Lassiter when he gave up that long play. So when you talk about being a vocal leader and demanding, so it looks like he's going to take on that role a little bit. He's a young guy, so he's going to have to grow into that role. But to answer your question, that's something that I noticed during the game on Saturday that kind of speaks to that leadership question.
Okay, you thinking the same thing, Thad, or what you thinking? Because, listen, I know you got to talk it, but you got to show it too. In the last couple of games, hey man, my guy Chris Smith been out of position and bad technique, and I don't know what's going on if he feeling the pressure or not. What you thinking on that defense? We need a leader out there.
Well, I'm gonna say this, guys. Let's slow down a little bit, because what I'm gonna say is this right here. We have to keep in mind. Turnovers put the defense in a bad position last week. You know what I mean? So, with the field position that the Missouri offense got, it put our defense in a bad position. Overall, I think we are playing good defense. We did expect some drop off with the players that we lost. But overall, I think we are playing pretty good defense. I mean, we're playing pretty good defense. Like I said, if you just look at the point total from last week, that'll make you think we're not playing good defense. But once again, we had 3 turnovers in that game. That's 3 extra possessions that their offense got that our offense didn't get, and put our defense a little bit more pressure on our defense, especially with the short field that they had. And once again, our defense, I'm going to be honest with you, they're going to take on our head coach personality. They're just young. I think we're not going to have any problems on defense. Some plays might be made, but ultimately, guys, I don't see us giving up more than 10 to 13 points to any team, regardless of how we come out. But the key to our defense is really our offense. We got to be able to play complementary football. We have to. We came into this particular season wanting to lean on the offense until the defense caught up because we knew they were young.
Yeah.
And the situation where it has happened is, unfortunately, our offense is not as good as we thought they were going to be, coming back with 7 out of 11 starters. We expected to drop off in the defense.
I don't know. I think our offense ain't as consistent as we want them to be. I think they as good as I think they're as good as we want to be.
Tomato. But what I want to see this weekend on the defense is I would really like to see us once again get those sacks.
Yeah.
I want to get those pressures. I want to see us do what Missouri did to us. Get pressure with only 4 guys. Sometimes 5. Just beat
Who are we getting that from, Thad?
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask you, John. Who we getting it from, though? Jalen Carter out the next 2 weeks.
Yep, not Jalen Carter. I think the biggest challenge for this defense is no Devontae Wyatt, no Jordan Davis. What they provided for that defense for the past couple of years is y'all can worry about everything else. Everything between the tackles, you don't have to worry about. We got it on lock.
Facts.
And those guys, there were teams, they wouldn't even bother running it in between tackles because they knew it was a tackle for loss. It was 0-yard gain. Teams this year are testing. They're probing that fence and finding, hey, we can create some holes. What we saw against Missouri, they chopped down a backside 3 technique, and there's a 4-yard gap right there. So he's running through arm tackles. Well, we don't have those dogs like we used to in the interior, and that puts more pressure on the entire defense to play gap sound defense like E-Rob was saying. And I'll be honest, the pass rush we're going to have to generate through line games, pressures, dogs. We don't have that guy. We don't have the folks in years past. Right now, in my assessment, our best pass rusher is Robert Beal. And Robert Beal is good. He's solid, but he's nothing special. I mean,
he's not dynamic.
No offense to him. I think he's a good outside linebacker, defensive end type that can do a couple different things, but he's not that guy that offensive lines are fearing, saying, hey, we got a plan for somebody. Outside of that, we don't have, nobody has emerged as that guy, that threat that you have to account for offensively. And so what Georgia's doing is they're trying to manufacture pressure. Lots of line games, a lot of dogs, which I think our linebackers historically, and this year is another example of it, they get after the passer pretty well. They don't just run and get blocked. They can run through some of a center's block, a guard's block, and a running back's block to get to the quarterback. But it's all manufactured from the defensive coordinator spot rather than we just got a dude over there that they don't want to see. We don't have that right now.
We don't have a Will Anderson.
We don't. But let me just jump in real quick to Shawty's point. If you really look at the defense, like we talk about like the plays that were given up from the defense, overall they still gave up a total of 294 yards, guys. They had a 60-yard run. They had 100 yards rushing total for the game. 60 of that came on one run, right?
Oh, we're definitely playing good defense.
And so even with that, they had a 45, 50-yard pass. So I think the defense is playing good. And realistically, Stitch, I think you're right. But I think we also manufactured pressure last year because when we did not pressure last year, we had issues. Like in the SEC championship game, we played on our heels. When we went back to playing the Georgia way, like we like to say, we brought them A-gap blitzes. And we played those mind games with those D-line swaps and circles or whatever you call it. I can't think about it right now, but you know what I'm saying. So we got to kind of get back stunts. Thank you. I couldn't think about it. It's late. But we got to get our minds together at least so that we're sound enough not to give up those chunk plays because we're still out there kicking their tail. That's what everybody should understand.
God, what Kirby just said. You got to understand, we're playing with 60%. Our roster is 60% underclassmen, and 33% of those are freshmen. We got new bodies, new faces. We got a lot of new faces out there, guys. You got to expect to drop off. And even with the drop off to JV point, look at the number. We playing good. They're in a great defense still, no matter how it looks.
No, we're playing good, but again, if you keep looking in the wrong place, you keep doing that, it's going to be a problem. And I think once they start doing that and they get their eyes in the right place, I'm not really worried now. I'm just saying we'll be even better once we start doing that. And that's defense 101 right there. Look in the right place.
We back to focus.
And I think it's kind of like the same thing they had with A.D. Mitchell last year, guys. We talked about him early in the year. We were talking about not having that receiver, right? We wanted A.D. Mitchell to be that guy. And he came into that role, and by the end of the year, of course, you saw what he was doing for us and who he was for us. So that's all I had, Coach. My fault.
No problem. Hey, I just think, of course, when we talking about this, we always looking forward to like that. I get us this his thing, the 3 games, the SEC championship, the playoff, and the championship. So you don't want it to be an issue going down the line. Brandon say we gotta have to blitz more than Kirby likes, because that takes somebody out of coverage. I think if we got a team that's not known, like against Alabama, we might not need to do that. But like against Auburn and Florida, they can't really.
We want all that smoke. Give us that smoke.
So I'm like, I'm not talking about not beating them. I'm talking about the actual scheme. That's what I'm talking about. Like I'd rather have more. I'd rather have more in coverage against the Bamas than to have more in coverage against like an Auburn, because I really haven't seen a receiver like that. A couple of receivers that I'm scared of or anything like that. I think we nitpicking. Of course we nitpicking, but hey, young or not, we better than Missouri, and we better than 26-22 than Missouri. So, I mean, I know it's focused, but there's some things that you want to shore up because it's not a switch that you can just turn on. I mean, hey, and for the people in the comments, man, if y'all got any questions for anybody on the panel, let's get them in here, man, because it's getting about that time. John, you got anything? Go ahead.
Are we asking our personal questions here?
I'm going to get you in a minute. Yeah. What you say, JV?
I was going to say, DR in the comments said Ladd McConkey has average speed. Actually, Ladd McConkey has very
Ladd McConkey is, he's like a flat 4.4, like laser time 4.4.
He can fly. I just wanted to address that. I saw that. Nah.
He right don't mean he got average speed. He right.
That's a stereotype. That's just a stereotype.
That's like watching Deion Sanders evaluate 40s at the draft.
All right, it's that. Hey, man, needless to say, man, the Dawgs got the W, man, and like Thad said it to start the show off, we counting W's and L's, and at this point, hey, We still undefeated, baby. Whether we rank 1, 2, 3, we did fall a little bit, lost some of them votes. It don't matter until the college football playoffs come out. We still on track to achieve what we want to this year. So before we get to any questions in the comments, we're gonna let Thad get his question in. Let's go, Thad.
All right, John. So I ask every guest that come on the show this same question. Coming out of high school, we were all studs. We were all, Americans and whatever you want to call it. But coming into Georgia, once you got to Georgia, what player you saw made you say, hey, man, I got to get in this playbook. I got to get my shit together. I got to work out. I got to run. I got to do whatever I got to do to get on this field. What player was that? Who impressed you to do those things?
Yep. So like everybody else, I thought I was going to come in there and revolutionize the game, right? Like, sure, we had my brother was one tackle, Chris Terry was the other, but there's 2 guard spots I just planned on just walking right into until that first scrimmage in Sanford Stadium. And afterwards, we're sitting there, Chris Selfo, offensive line coach, has his clicker, right? He's got his cowboy, and he keeps rewinding this play over and over again. And it's Richard Seymour, who barely slowed down as he ran over me like I was a speed bump on his way into that backfield. And he was like, welcome to the SEC. Welcome to the SEC. And I'm thinking, yeah, I got my work cut out for me here, boys. It isn't what I was told as a recruit that, hey, you're going to come right in. You're going to be that's not how it works, boys. So it was quite an eye-opening experience. But, when you come in, Brandon Miller's on this. You got Brandon Miller as a part of Marcus Stroud, Richard Seymour, Charles Grant, Demetric Evans. I mean, it was stacked. So Kendrell Bell's coming from that linebacker position. Nobody wanted to see him. And Boss Bailey, Will Witherspoon.
Hey, John, he stayed in the comments.
Yeah.
Does he? Yeah, I don't doubt that. But it was one of those where iron sharpens iron. Well, you better get pretty sharp because we had some dogs up front.
Okay, John. Now this is my turn. This is my obligatory question. This is I ask every guest that comes on. We're all Bulldogs. We all bleed red and black, and we all wanted to bring a championship home to Athens. None of us did it. The Dogs finally got it done. After all this time, they got it done. Tell me, when Keely Ringo scores that touchdown, and you know for a fact that we are going to win the national championship, where were you, and what was your reaction?
Yeah, so I mean, like everybody else, my reaction was, I can't believe it. Finally, 4 decades. How does that happen? How does Georgia go 4 decades without a national championship? Being in those NFL locker rooms with a bunch of clowns from like Ohio State, and I was Alex Brown from Florida. I don't want to hear any of that crap, right? Yeah. They just nothing but mouth. So finally, to get that national championship, I'm in the stadium. Everybody's hugging everybody. We don't care who you are.
Right.
I'm right behind Sonny Seiler, who's been one of the most famous dogs ever, and we're just all elated. I can't tell you how many people came up and were telling him thank you. I don't think he scored a single touchdown.
I don't think so. But, yeah, no.
Pretty well-known dog. But for us, it was that finally clearing that hill that has been in front of us. There's been so many teams that Georgia has had that the beginning of the year, through the year, by the end of the year, you're thinking, this could be it, right? This could be the one. And to finally come through, it's hard to believe it took 40 years, but the elation that not only have we finally crested that summit, that peak, but I think we could be there for a while. And just because of the way Kirby and his staff have built this organization up, recruit class after recruit class, this is the standard now. When we moved on from Coach Rick, who changed the game for Georgia, to say 10 wins isn't good enough, right?
Yes.
And a decade before, 10 wins, and people would be like, hey, we're back on the map.
Right.
And now it's like,
expectations. Yep.
That's not it. That's not it.
Yep.
Cool Cal talked about it earlier. The expectation is through the roof, and rightfully so. And it's a great time to be a dog.
Great place to be. That's why.
That's right. That's right. We got a question from the audience, man. The stat guy say, question for John. Who was better player at Parkview, you or Jeff Francoeur?
Oh, great question.
Well, there's no.
You know he ain't gonna shine the light on himself.
Well, Krim, he went 45-0. So I mean, the man won every state championship there was to win. I mean, we'd come back. So his older brother, he was in 8th grade when I was a senior, and so we'd come back and watch him. And the dude could do anything. He had signed a scholarship to play safety at Clemson. Obviously, goes on to play for the Braves and had a great career. And now, they pay him to flap his gums like the rest of us. But I mean, you talk about a really, really great high school.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, it's on its way, I'm sure. He was an impressive athlete to watch in high school, but it was he changed the game for Parkview.
There it is, man. B. Miller got in on your last comment. He said it was 15 first rounders before a championship, 3 NFL Hall of Famers, and too many Super Bowls to count. Yeah, the dog, man, we had to wait a long time for it, but it was worth it, man. I think we all are still feeling it. And like John said, man, it's the standard now. So, of course, that's why we get on here. We nitpick the offense. We nitpick the defense. It is what it is because we want to stay on the top of the mountain. We don't want to go back down to where we went, and we don't want a Tennessee slump. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. We don't want what Auburn got going on where we don't know if our coach or Arkansas. Yeah, well, Arkansas's expectations are just to win 9 games. We expect to be in the SEC championship and in that playoff hunt every single year, man. Anybody else in the comments got a question for the panel before we move on this thing, man? Let me know. So who else in here done got in here? We got the Dawgs is hopping tonight, boy. They are in here.
But they gonna wait.
Yeah, man.
Hey, for real, man. Hey, while we waiting on anybody to get the question, I just do want to say there will be some just a shout out announcement. There will be some changes coming to the Fanatic Network, man. Some positive things. Stat Guy will be previewing his first podcast talking baseball. He's an Atlanta Braves junkie, so he knows. I think he might know the Braves better than he know himself. And that first episode will be dropping tomorrow, called the No Hitter Podcast.
That Georgia video first.
Oh, yeah. So we definitely going to do that this Saturday on the live stream. If y'all didn't know, sometimes Shawty come in there and jump on the live stream. We talk about college football reactions on Saturday, man. So last Saturday, man, listen, we was in it. Like, me and Shawty was talking during the fourth quarter, dog. Like, it was rough. It was rough.
Hey, look, man. Quick story, man. My boy Carlo in the section, man. We almost fell out being friends on Saturday, man. So we watching the game. I'm talking to him on the phone. And I guess his ragged ass cable, he 2 plays behind me. So I'm like, ooh, man. I'm reacting, and I normally don't do that because I don't want him to know. But I'm reacting, and he about to have a damn conniption. And then I messed around and said, hey, man, it looks like we might lose this game. Dude hung up on me. Now, he don't want to hear that. Y'all talking about questioning my boy's loyalty to Georgia. He don't want to hear about them losing. I was like, dog, it looks like one of them games we might lose this game. He hungry.
No, hey, listen, man. The reactions real time. They're a lot different than when you talking about it the following Tuesday. Let's just say that. I was recording from the G Theater, and I was like, Shawty seen. I was like, hey, listen, I was in rare form, dog. So, hey, before we move on. Go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I didn't know what John time was like. I know we don't hit that hour limit. I just want to say shout out to John, man. Thank you for coming on, man. I sure enough appreciate having the pleasure to play with you. I appreciate all your honesty for coming. And once you came onto the show, man, it was great to have you on. And let's get you back again, man. Good to see you.
It was fun. Yeah, y'all have a good time. I appreciate y'all letting me join in on it.
That's right, man. And for those that's watching, man, if y'all going to hang out with us, we got a couple more questions. And, John, if you want to hang out, we want you to stay as long as possible. But if you got to go, we definitely understand. Before you do go, though, Lance says no question. He don't have a question, but he just wanted to say that you was a good man off the field as well. He said y'all sons are in the Cub Scouts at the same time and was always present at other school activities as well. So shout out to John, man.
That's what's
all
up.
right.
Hey, Gotta love on the kids, man.
Dog, you got
Absolutely.
to. You got to. There's no other way to go. Wallace Smith say, does anybody know what's going on with Eric Gilbert?
We'll move on.
Yes,
let's go to the next person.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next person.
I don't have no inside information, so I don't like to talk. I don't like to talk on stuff I really don't know about. So,
if you ain't heard it from the head, man, you ain't gonna hear it from me.
yeah. So, B Miller say, E-Rod, what receiver on the team, past or present, you wouldn't want to cover one-on-one?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay, so for me, the guys I did not like covering is dudes like Shawty. Look, the little dudes that's quick. I don't like that. Like, I don't like trying to chase them around. So,
Cause when we get by you, it's over.
it's over, yeah, and I don't like that shit. So really, during my time, man, it was Hassan Graham, man. Like, I did not like messing around with Hassan Graham when we was in one-on-one, because, boy, one false move and you might get hurt. He gone. You know what I'm saying? This, I don't like it. So,
There
I like
it
the
is.
big body receiver, the big kind of whatever. Let's do that. Let's tussle. Let's do that. But the little quick ones, I don't like that.
There it is. Michael Pitt say, for anybody on the panel, what was the biggest lesson learned from the Mizzou game? John, I'll let you take that one.
Great question.
Yeah, I think the fact that they finished, I think that showed a lot of what they're made of. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would have folded up in that second half and said, this game is over. But Georgia didn't have it in them. That there was no quit. There was always confidence. They didn't press. They didn't start nutting up. You see guys make some really boneheaded decisions in those situations, and Georgia never did that. They just doubled down on who they were and started executing better and pulled out a win. So for me, I learned a lot about the character of that team, that what you hear from the coaches of it's our standard and that's what we're playing to, that I think they actually have embraced that and really embodied it towards the end of that game.
Yeah, I think those are good points. And, like, I saw a video that the Dawgs put out, man, from the game. And going into the fourth quarter, Kenny McIntosh is on the sideline riding the bike. And he yelling at the teammates like, they think they done won this game, y'all. They think they done won this game. Let's go out here and do it. I was like, it just showed that they never really, like you said, John, mentally got out of it. Let's see. Tony B in the comments, he said, do you feel like the Bulldogs got their wake-up call? JV?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one, man. I definitely feel like this was an attention grabber for a specific reason. I mean, this was a team we were supposed to go in and dominate. So, we look at the rest of the season and we have a lot of teams that we're supposed to go into that game and dominate. But, I think what happened and what was the result of this particular game can be a catalyst for the rest of the season with these teams that we have coming up, until we get to, better competition. So, yeah, I think it was a great wake-up call for us.
Okay. We got another question from the stat guy, and this is for John, too. And, John, I'm not going to let you off. You got to pick somebody. No hurt feelings here, fellas. No hurt feelings here. Wow. Stat guy want to know who your favorite teammate was, John. Can't run from it.
Just say your brother. That's the easiest.
That would be the easiest, but it wouldn't be true.
He was gone, man. Was gone, right?
Baby.
He got to play with him 1 year.
1 semester.
1 year.
Okay. That was my rookie. Yeah. And actually, I came out of high school early. I tore my ACL.
Right.
So,
right. So
yeah. So I got a one quarter, a summer, and then a semester with him. OG
said that was your favorite. He said he was your favorite.
we had some good ones. So there's two OGs out there. But,
yeah. So we getting some more Dawgs coming in here, man. Randy Payne, he in the building. What's going on, Randy? Go Dawgs.
Didn't answer the question. Answer
the question, John. Let's go.
I want to hear that now.
My bad. I was trying to get some people some shout out. Hey, first shout out OG, man. Appreciate you stopping in the comments, and shout out Randy Payne, man, from Tifton, man. But yeah, John, you back on the hot seat, dog.
Coach is like the CP3 of this show, man. He can pitch like a champion. He sets everybody up. So I really appreciate that, and thanks for bringing that full circle back on having to choose who my favorite teammate was. Unbelievable.
Come on,
I'm going to surprise you a little bit. I'm going to go Charles Grant because I played 10 straight years with the guy. Well, not 10 straight. There was one We came to Georgia at the same time. He went to military college, came back to Georgia. So 3 years together. He goes to the Saints for a year. I get drafted there the next year, and we spend the next 8 years butting heads.
Okay.
Now, he's probably punched me more than anyone in my life with the number of fights we've gotten into. But I love him like a brother, man. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. We would fight a lot, but I love him like a brother. So
there it is, man.
And I've never played with anybody for longer than Charles.
There it is, man. Hey, Charles was a straight dog. You know what I'm saying? We got somebody. All right, we got somebody else. Frank Riddle. Don't get on me, Frank. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Riddle Hoover. That's you from Alabama. I know you know how to pronounce that.
Oh, really? That what we doing? That's what we doing? Really?
Go Dogs, Frank. Go Dogs. I'm just messing with my guy JB, man. All right, man. I know. Anybody else got anything for the panel, man? Before we get up out of here, we done had a good show tonight, man. We inside the locker room overtime right now. Tony B say, do you think Alabama is more stronger team than Georgia this year? I do not.
No.
Hold on, man. Say that we ain't got there yet, man. We got a long time.
No.
All right, look at taking up CA slot one game at a time, huh?
The way we looking right now, it got to be one game at a time. It's blood in the water. Everybody in the conference see blood and cracks in the armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. I think they do, and I think that's why everybody coming to play. It's not just that we number one. They done seen a little hitch here or there. So DR says. Darnell Washington not having a TD through 5 games. Darnell Washington actually only got 1 TD in his career at UGA, by the way. Stetson don't even attempt to throw to Washington a jump ball in red zone. Then we wonder why we settle for 3. I can see something to that. Shawty did mention earlier we need to get Darnell Washington more involved because the dude is a problem. But I know quarterbacks have their favorite targets. Sometimes it might be hard when the play's supposed to go to Brock, and Brock looked like he one-on-one. Why would you not throw it to Brock? But
Hey man, shout out to all the new people in the comments too, man. It's good to have new people showing up, man.
That's right, man. We do this every Tuesday at 8:00 Eastern time live, man. So we glad to see all the dogs in the comment, man. Bree Miller say points are points. He don't care who score.
Man, I think Stinchcomb brought all these new fans to the.
I think so. We put Stitch on the banner, and they was like, we got to show up, man.
Hey, Jay, you send that man a cup, man.
That's right.
I tell you what, I get it made. You pay for it, baby.
Nice. Hey man, we done had a good show, man. I want to thank John. I think John had to put some money in the quarter too, man. I think some quarters in the machine.
The
I think
money
it's
in the quarters.
Not the money in the quarter.
I got it, Skrill.
It's late.
So I was about to post it, JB. B Miller say where his cup at, dog. So
I got it, dog. We already got it.
Hey, they look good. Hey, you see that Coach I? Hey, shout out to the Tailgate Kings. Shout out to the Tailgate Kings.
Championship cups, them championship tumblers, baby.
There it is, baby. There it is. Don't hate us because you ain't us. All right, let's go. And the Braves. Shout out to the Braves for winning the division, baby.
Don't be peanut butter and jealous.
On that note, that's a good way to end the show. Hey, thanks to all the dogs, man. Thanks for John stopping by, giving us his time, man. For my guy, Cool Cow Hat, Jump Off, our missing brother in action, CA, E-Rob, Shawty, JB, I'm Coach I. We out. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Yes, sir.